Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Raw from Heroes Avenue coming at you with another DC video. What a week it has been for news, not only in the DC world, but there's stuff going on with Marvel, with Scott Derrickson leaving Doctor Strange. We have the New Mutants trailer and some rumors about that movie. And then, of course, on the DC side of things, we have Birds of Prey dropping its awesome trailer. I really thought this trailer was the best trailer so far and the best tease for what this movie is going to bring us. But there is a big story that we have not yet talked about, and it has to do with The Flash. Yes, that's right, The Flash. Feels like this movie has been a roller coaster ride of different news stories and a roller coaster ride of different directors, as a matter of fact. So let's talk about the Flash storyline, Flashpoint, because director Andy Muschietti, who's the latest director out of many directors that has come on board the project, and he gave us a little hint of what to expect. So there are plenty of articles that talk about this, but I'm looking at slashfilm.com, and it says the headline is Flash director Andy Muschietti teased a different version of the Flashpoint storyline. So I'm going to go ahead and just read a little portion of it because just to highlight some of it. The Flashpoint storyline was kind of teased back in San Diego Comic-Con back in 2017. And when they initially teased that, a lot of us were skeptical, including myself, about whether or not that was something that's going to stick. At the time, it felt like the Flash or DC itself was just trying to throw us a bone, try to get fans excited at Comic-Con, but that was amidst a lot of DC turmoil at the time. So when they announced all those things, it wasn't really set in stone at the time, and a lot of us weren't so confident in Warner Brothers. Fast forward to today. So I'm going to read this portion from Slash Film's article. It says, according to the hashtag show, while moderating a Q&A panel with the cast of Underwater, Andy Muschietti said he'll start shooting The Flash sometime later this year. Furthermore, he also confirmed the Flash movie story will still feature the Flashpoint storyline, but in the same breath, he also said it would be a, quote, different version of Flashpoint than you're expecting. Okay, so that is the bread and butter of this article right here. That is the news, and that is really exciting. So it's exciting for a lot of different reasons. Again, we weren't sure that this was the storyline that they were going to go with, and Andy Muschietti is just the latest director out of a long line of directors that were slated for this project, and all those previous directors left the project, kind of like Scott Derrickson left Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. Those previous Flash directors left due to the dreaded creative differences. Yes, that is one of those excuses that directors will throw out or studios will throw out, and they'll part ways with their director, mutually, supposedly. But that's one of those things that kind of get fans really upset and confused because it doesn't really tell us much, right? But now that Andy Muschietti's on board, and it seems like this thing is actually a go, it's really exciting that he's bringing us back here to Flashpoint, because originally Rick Famuyiwa, he wanted to do a smaller Flash storyline with the Rogues, and that was the rumor, and that was kind of what he was teasing until he left the project. And then we had the news that the directors of Game Night were going to helm the project, and then Ezra Miller, the actor who plays the Flash, had some clashing with those guys because they wanted to make it a little bit more lighthearted than what Ezra Miller had pictured. So Ezra Miller went and created his own script alongside Grant Morrison, and they pitched it to WB. Doesn't look like they're going to be using that script, and fast forward to now, after the success of the It franchise, It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, Andy Muschietti is helming the project. We don't know what elements he's taking from any of the previous work. I assume he's going to be doing his own, but I, for one, am excited. And without question, the biggest thing on probably most people's minds is the fact that Flashpoint can definitely be used to reboot the whole DCEU itself. Now, this movie is probably going to come out. I think they have a date already. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys. I think it was July 2022 is when this movie is going to come out. So by then, we would have gotten the Wonder Woman 1984 sequel. We would have, I think we are going to have the Aquaman sequel by then as well. Supposedly Shazam or Black Adam should be coming out. The Batman will have come out. So by that time, the DCU has matured just a little bit more. And this storyline, the Flashpoint storyline itself, it just lends itself to rebooting the whole franchise, or at least, if not rebooting, changing the franchise as a whole, taking parts of what Warner Brothers may have liked and disregarding some of the things that are maybe a little bit more controversial. Now, I know this is a contentious topic amongst fans because a lot of us, including myself, love what has come before in some respects. And what I'm talking about is people like Henry Cavill as our Superman. Of course, we liked Ben Affleck as our Batman, but he is gone at this point. And there's just a lot of things that a lot of us fans wanted to see before this Flashpoint event happened in the way that we're thinking. But of course, in the comments itself, Andy Muschietti says that it's going to be a different version of Flashpoint than we're expecting. Now, if that's the Flashpoint that we're expecting, this world-changing event, then what could he be talking about? Now, we've seen Flashpoint play out in the TV universe, right? And of course, they didn't really do the Flashpoint storyline justice. It really, quite frankly, be hard to do that for a show like the CW shows because of the budget and what it would require. So they did it on much of a smaller scale. So if I'm to guess and look into what Andy Muschietti's actually trying to say, is he's probably trying to say that this movie is going to be probably a smaller character-driven storyline with Ezra Miller's character, Barry Allen, at the center, right? And of course, there is, at the heart of this storyline, is the dilemma of Barry Allen and having to sacrifice his mother in order to restore the DC universe as it is. So there, within that storyline that has so much heart, there is a lot of room to play with because the sheer amount of characters that are involved with this storyline, that this story is such a grand story. It's one of the greatest Flash storylines out there, and without question, that is because it is such a universe-changing story. It actually launched the New 52, and I'm a big fan of the New 52. I know a lot of people, have their issues with the whole New 52 run, but I, for the stories that I've read and the entire Justice League story, I've really enjoyed it. And again, this is something that can still be done, and I'm thinking Andy Muschietti may be doing something like this. He may be setting the DCU up for a soft reboot, but doing it in a way that's not so bombastic in nature. Because if you guys have read the New 52 storyline, I've only read the main storylines and not the tie-ins, but it is such a grand scale movie. I mean, you got Aquaman fighting against all of Themyscira, and you get deaths that are done in such brutal fashions in this story. And of course, there's a lot of obscure characters involved in the storyline. I don't want to spoil anything. You guys should definitely read it yourself. But I'm thinking that instead of doing all of that, while I do think there may be cameos, and there should be cameos in this Andy Muschietti story, I'm thinking it's going to be done in a much more smaller scale. And time travel stories, of course this story does involve time travel. Time travel stories are really intriguing when you can do them right. And of course, we've heard rumors before that this storyline was going to try to imitate something like Back to the Future. I mean, not imitate, but kind of take inspiration from Back to the Future. And if you read the comic, it's really quite similar. I'm gonna leave it to you guys to definitely check out that storyline, but I do think that one of the more exciting parts is the fact that it can change the universe, but it's also one of the scary parts. And it's gonna be hard potentially letting go of the aspects that we love, but it is really exciting because we do know we have the new Batman coming up with Robert Pattinson. I just did a video on Monday breaking down some of the earliest set picks, so we have that on deck. We don't know what the repercussions of Aquaman 2 are going to be, or Wonder Woman 1984, but there are a lot of things that can change the universe from now until the Flashpoint storyline comes out, and who knows how that stuff's going to be weaved in, because Ezra Miller's character, Barry Allen, the Flash, is a part of the DCEU. Who knows, maybe this movie bridges that gap between our universe and the Joker movie, or the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. And there's a lot of room to play with here, so it's really exciting. Now, that was one of the big exciting things, the fact that it's a movie that can shake up the universe. But the other exciting thing is that in doing this storyline, you are going to be introducing one of the Flash's best villains. Actually, it is the Flash's greatest villain. That is definitely something I stand by. And of course, that is Reverse Flash. I'm really excited for the potential of seeing the Reverse Flash on screen for the very first time. We've seen him done so well in the comic books, obviously. We've seen him done well in the animated series, in the animated FLASHPOINT cartoon. If you play the Injustice video game, oh my gosh, he's just one of the most fun characters to play and watch his storyline progress. And I think if we cast the right actor in this role, the Reverse Flash could be one of the greatest villains in comic book movies, without a doubt, especially who has one of the coolest powers, and him being such a vicious and relentless character by nature. I think it would be really cool to see the Reverse Flash on screen. And there's a lot of other things, involved with this storyline that I think could be great. Obviously, there's a big, in the Flashpoint storyline itself, there's also the whole Batman. Will Jeffrey D. Morgan reprise his role as Thomas Wayne in here and be the alternate universe Batman? I think that would be great. And again, that leaves the story open to introducing perhaps Robert Pattinson's Batman if it is a hit. So again, there's a lot of different ways that they could go with this. Director Andy Muschietti himself, what he did with the It franchise, it definitely took a lot of risks, especially It Chapter 2. He wasn't afraid to go to the obscure places that the Stephen King book adaptation actually went to, and I thought he actually did it really well. He played with a story that involved multiple characters and tied it together at the end in a really satisfying way. And I'm hoping that even though I think this movie is going to be a smaller scale Flashpoint than the one in the comic books, I'm hoping that he can introduce us and broaden the DC universe while also giving us and introducing us to something new. And yeah, that's my thoughts on this, guys. Just off the bat, let me know what you think about this storyline, because I really think this has invigorated my excitement for this movie, because again, this is a movie that has been riddled with problems and just negativity from the get-go, and I'm ready to hear some real news about this movie. So hopefully we hear more about it soon, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Please don't forget to comment, like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos like this in the future. Again, I'll catch you guys later. Have yourself a great weekend. Peace.